We'll call to order the Board of County Commissioners for Douglas County, Nebraska for Tuesday, October 28th, 2025. Please note that a copy of the Open Meetings Act is located on the north wall of the Legislative Chamber alongside an automatic external defibrillator. Please stand for the pledge. We'll start with the Douglas County Board of Equalization. Roll call, please.
Commissioner Borgeson. Present. Commissioner Kavanaugh. Here. Commissioner Fahey. Commissioner Friend. Commissioner Morgan. Here. Commissioner Rogers. Here. Mr. Chair.
Here. First item of business are items A and B, A being the approval of the minutes of the Board of Equalization meeting held Tuesday, October 14th, 2025, and B being the call for a meeting and set Tuesday, November 4th, 2025, as a date for hearing on certified assessment corrections reflecting the addition of omitted property to the tax rolls or increased value on property. Do I have a motion and a second? Motion by Rogers, second by Fahey. Please vote.
Motion passes 7-0.
Thank you. Next, we have one protest item, item C. A protest of penalty for personal property taxes for complete behavioral health at 4565 South 133rd Street, Omaha, Nebraska 68137. Assessor Goodwillie.
Good morning, Commissioners. Mike Goodwillie, Douglas County Assessor Register of Deeds Office. This protest was the result of an estimate assessment that we sent out. This business had filed a return for 2024 in which it listed in excess of $16,000 worth of personal property on its return. It filed nothing in 25. And so we prepared an estimate assessment by taking what they reported the previous year, taking a further year of depreciation to get to the correct class life or net book value, and sent out the penalty assessment or estimate assessment. And the taxpayer filed a protest and also filed a return that indicated, to me at least, that she didn't quite understand net book value. So I reached out to her and we chatted. Apparently she changed accountants. Her new accountant didn't bother to file. And after explaining it to her, she sent me an email back saying, I completely understand the estimated depreciation given my new accountant failed to file the necessary forms. I agree with the estimated adjustment around $12,900. All in, the taxes on her estimate assessment would be about $262, and there's a late filing or a late penalty for another $66. So all in, she's the taxpayer is looking at $328, but it appears that she's not interested in pursuing the protest. I think the clerk's office reached out to her to see if she would send them something to that effect and has been unable to reach the taxpayer, which is kind of often the case. Anyway, I would advocate that the appeal be or the protest be dismissed. We seem to have worked that out with the taxpayer.
Thank you. What is the will of the board? Or, yeah, motion to dismiss the protest, yep. By Rogers, second by Kavanaugh. And we'll vote.
Motion passes 7-0.
Thank you. Next, we have our resolutions, items D, E, and F under equalization, which we can take in block if desired.
So moved.
Well, there's a public hearing item G afterward, so we'll hold off on adjournment. But we'll do items D through F as motioned by Rogers. Is there a second?
I second.
Oh, second by Morgan. Discussion. Anybody from the public come to speak on items D, E, or F on the resolutions for equalization? Anybody from the board? Otherwise, we'll vote.
Motion passes 7-0.
Thank you. Next, we have under public hearing a resolution to correct the Fremont Public Schools tax levy from amount originally approved on the October 14th, 2025 resolution. Since it's a public hearing, I'll go ahead and open up the public hearing at this point, and I know Mr. Clerk had a comment.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Dan Esch, Douglas County Clerk. So just a brief explanation. For school districts on their bonds, they can use a different total taxable valuation than what they would use for their general fund or their special building fund. And this was a case where Fremont had intended to use a slightly different value, taxable value for 3 of their bonds. So this corrects it to the amount that they had meant to submit to us. The tax dollars requested that were approved on the 14th, it's the same amount now. It's just what's different is the that was correct, but we had to correct the total valuations being used on 3 of their bonds, and then also update the levy for them. So basically, the levy goes from, for Fremont Public Schools, 1.064464 to, excuse me, that's what is going to be approved today. And what was approved was 1.065889 on the 14th. So, yeah, Fremont just has a small footprint in, it's school districts are interesting. I mean, they've got, they cross over into different counties, and they just have a small footprint in Douglas County. So that's why they're before us. They're headquartered in Dodge, but they do have a footprint in Douglas. So anyway, that needed to be corrected, and that's why it's before you today.
Okay. Thank you. Any comments or questions from board or public? If not, I will close the public hearing. What is the will of the board? Motion to approve by Rogers, second by Morgan. Please vote.
Mr. Chair, does that include adjournment?
Plus adjournment? Yep. Okay. Yes.
Motion passes 7-0.
Thank you. That adjourns Board of Equalization. We will now go into Douglas County Board of Corrections. Roll call, please.
Commissioner Borgeson. Commissioner Kavanaugh. Commissioner Fahey. Commissioner Friend. Commissioner Morgan. Commissioner Rogers. Mr. Chair.
Here. First, we have item 1, approval of the minutes of the Board of Corrections meeting held Tuesday, September 16th, 2025. Do I have a motion and a second?
Second.
Motion by Rogers, second by Morgan. Please vote.
Motion passes 7-0.
Thank you. Next, we'll invite Director Myers for the corrections report.
Good morning, Commissioners.
Morning.
Michael Myers, Director of Corrections for Douglas County. You have before you my report for the month of September of 2025. Turning to enclosure number 1, Administrative Services and Personnel. Following the 3rd month of the fiscal year, we are pleased to report that we are $1,180,795 under budget. I do want to point out that we have some significant expenditures relating to projects that yet to get underway that will eat away at some of that surplus. Yes. There were $366,241 spent on overtime costs in September. That is a reduction of about $200,000 from the previous month. Nearly $800,000 in bond payments were processed by our records division. We did have a high month for attrition in September, as 12 officers below the rank of sergeant left employment. There were a variety of reasons for that. A few were our choice, a few were their choice. One chose, that we had an officer who had a child who decided to stay, to leave the profession due to that. So it was a variety of reasons that kind of culminated in a higher month for attrition for us. 16 officers have, in fact, began the training academy on October 14th. And as of September 30th, we were 99% staffed among all correctional officer ranks. Turning to enclosure number 2, Community Corrections and Reentry Services. The Sanction Center and Transitional Discharge Center placed a total of 21 individuals into community corrections and saved 109 combined bed days in the jail. Pardon me. Work release admitted 19 individuals, and house arrest admitted 49. The Reentry Assistance Program, or RAP, admitted 23. 49 individuals were admitted to therapeutic community housing units. There are currently 123 individuals on the GED wait list, and we have 73 active students in GED. We did have a very good month for GED, as 5 individuals achieved their GED while in custody. 15 individuals were referred to intensive outpatient treatment, and 27 individuals received substance use disorder evaluations. In pretrial services, there were 291 individuals that were placed on pretrial release during September. 1,390 were supervised on pretrial release over the course of the month. 532 individuals participated in the 24/7 sobriety program, and 181 of these individuals were supervised via GPS monitors, saving 4,020 bed days, theoretically. Also, theoretically, pretrial release saved Douglas County $683,400 in detention costs in September. Pretrial services staff are working with a new vendor for pretrial release software regarding several aspects of the program. And I am pleased to report, since I'm giving this report later in the month, that that project has gone live successfully on the 14th of this month. So I look forward to myself learning more about the capabilities of this system from my staff in the pretrial program and being able to provide you much more robust reporting on that program moving forward. Enclosure number 3, compliance. We continue to record all compliance-related data. Our PREA, or Prison Rape Elimination Act audit, will occur later this year. I have learned since I typed this report, it is scheduled for the first week of December. The National Commission on Correctional Health Care, NCCHC, audit will occur at an undetermined date in 2026, and the American Correctional Association audit will occur sometime later in 2026. It will be either during October or November. Enclosure number 4, population. We had 1,401 admissions. There were 1,427 releases. Our high count was 1,151 and our low count was 1,071. We had an average daily population of 1,111. That is an increase of 18. The average length of stay for inmates who were released in December, the overall average was 25 days. 51.3% of inmates stayed longer than 72 hours, and for those individuals, their average length of stay was 51.5 days. 48.7% of inmates were released in under 72 hours, and their average length of stay was 1.3 days. There were 74 custodial sanctioned bed days. The U.S. Marshal population increased. The average felony pretrial population was 760, which is an increase of 21. The average daily misdemeanor pretrial population was 136, which was a slight increase. Our probation violations decreased. 20% of our population was between the ages of 18 and 24. 66% of our population were minorities. 16% of our population were female, and 18% of our population were homeless or nearly homeless. Turning to enclosure number 5, medical and mental health. There were 1,111 intake screenings. There were 423 health and physical assessments. We had a busy month for emergency medical care as 37 individuals were taken out for emergency medical care. 10 of those were by 911. 8 resulted in hospitalizations, totaling a combined total days of hospitalization of 27. There were 33 off-site specialty appointments. We had 148 initial psychiatric assessments, 359 initial mental health assessments. 119 individuals were placed on suicide precautions. 179 individuals were placed on alcohol and drug detox protocols. 3 Board of Mental Health referrals were approved. We have 17 individuals waiting to go to the Lincoln Regional Center. Encouragingly enough, we do already have 25 individuals at the Lincoln Regional Center. And 5 individuals were administered a combined total of 11 doses of either Narcan or Opvee in September. Turning to enclosure number 6, our security operations and honor guard. Our crisis negotiation team was deployed 9 times in September, several of which were in conjunction with our emergency management team, or CERT. Issues included one court-ordered cell extraction of a mentally ill individual who was refusing to go to court, several housing unit transfers of individuals who were displaying aggressive or destructive behavior, medically mandated showers. 2 of these incidents required physical force to complete the objective. Our emergency response team, or CERT, was deployed 10 times in September. Several were in conjunction with the crisis negotiation team. Issues addressed 2 court-ordered cell extractions, medically mandated showers, a mentally ill inmate who claimed to have a weapon, and housing unit transfers. One particularly challenging incident involved an individual who had covered themselves in feces and was refusing to shower. One injury to an inmate was reported during these 10 deployments. Intermediate weapons, including pepper spray and our glove and stun shield, were required in 2 of these incidents. We had 14 area searches conducted. Recovered contraband included a shampoo bottle with a brown unidentified substance, an eye drop bottle containing an unidentified white liquid, torn clothing, a shower drain plate, and papers with Cash App and social media usernames. The Honor Guard supported the funeral services of a fallen officer in the Kansas City area in September. I'm including some data now on injuries to staff. We had 3 staff members who were assaulted in September, 2 who were injured during use of force incidents, and 6 who were injured during training. And that'll make a little more sense when I get to the end of my report as to why we had the training injuries. Enclosure number 7, staff development, wellness, and retention. There were 138 applications received for correctional officer positions, and 17 interviews were conducted. 21 cadets graduated the academy on September 12th, and as I mentioned, 16 began the academy on October 14th. TAP, the Tactical Athlete Program training, is ongoing for all custody staff. Non-custody staff will receive a 1-day self-defense version of TAP. We hope to have all of our staff trained in our new self-defense and use of force model by the end of the year. Policy updates regarding TAP and Strategic Inmate Management, or SIM, are being completed. 15 staff members utilized the Wellness and Retention Office, and 2 of our staff members were referred to external mental health resources. One thing that was pretty cool this month is we had our first corrections wellness fair. Our wellness and retention specialist, Bill Young, organized this. We had 10 community partners come down and set up booths or tables, anything from mental health services to financial services, and kind of everything in between were offered to our staff. The event was highly successful, and these partner agencies that came to interact with our staff indicated this was one of the most well-attended events of its kind that they had participated in. Other noteworthy items, we continue to train our staff in the Tactical Athlete Program, and we are on pace to have all staff trained by early next year. I believe that TAP is a safer and more holistic approach to self-defense and use of force. Our leadership team is also going through the 4-day training, so we are educated on it, and we can properly evaluate incidents requiring force. I completed this training myself a few weeks ago. It was quite rigorous. I have not wrestled on a mat for many years, but I did 4 days of it, and I can tell you, I was awfully glad when it was done. It was a grueling 4 days, and that is what's responsible for the 6 staff injuries and training, because you do have to go somewhat live in order to teach these techniques and make them usable. A little bit about TAP real quick, going off script a little bit. Well, I guess I kind of have this. I'll just keep reading. TAP emphasizes de-escalation and overall health of our health and fitness for our staff. The techniques that are taught de-emphasize pain compliance and focus on physical control of individuals to accomplish objectives. These techniques involve working as a team with other officers and other scenarios that are realistic to correctional settings. Are the model that we are phasing out, and it's going to take some time to phase this out because people have been trained in it for many years, and we know that in the heat of the moment, you know, what may come to their mind may be the previous model. The previous model, pressure point control tactics, or PPCT, emphasized pain compliance and strikes to nerves, and so even well done, well executed uses of force, you know, they didn't look that, they weren't pretty to watch. The TAP program de-emphasizes that, using a lot more emphasis on leverage. It was actually a program that was developed by UFC fighters. It's based a lot on Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu, and it's been adapted for law enforcement purposes. And I think it'll be safer for our inmate population and safer for our staff, and it's been very well received. As an executive team, we have made adjustments to our staffing levels for less critical posts. We have reduced staffing in our lobby due to a significant decrease in foot traffic. This is a result of the tablets being accessible to everyone and video visitation becoming very affordable. We reduced posts in central control, attorney-clergy visitation, and our courtroom to previous levels after having had increased them to address specific circumstances which are no longer present. Through attrition, we chose not to fill one reentry specialist position and one records position. And although altogether these reductions have resulted in the reduction of 11 FTEs, and I wanted to assure everyone that no one was laid off. Our staff were assigned to more critical functions. These changes were made in large part to efficiencies we've made through technology and other operational changes. I believe there are other changes we can make without compromising the mission of DCDC nor the safety and security of the facilities. However, for the moment, we will monitor the impact of the current changes on our personnel budget before making further adjustments. These changes were made in an attempt to bring the personnel portion of our budget in line, and also made with an eye towards the next fiscal year when I present my budget, and I will be asking for some additional staff to operate the mental health edition. Lastly, we are approaching our second lasting legacy award ceremony, and work is underway on the permanent display where awardees will be honored. The lasting legacy honors former employees of DCDC who made it a better place. The award is open to all ranks and roles. Nominees for the award must have worked for DCDC for at least 15 years and left employment in good standing in order to be considered. Our second induction to Lasting Legacy will be held on November 13th at 10 a.m. at the jail, where 6 more of our former staff will be honored. These ceremonies will be held going forward on an annual basis during Corrections Week. And I will make sure I get an invitation out to you all. We did our first one during Corrections Week in May, and it was one of the coolest things that I've seen in our facility in some time. So with that, I'm ready for any questions.
Thank you, Director Myers. We're going to go into discussion, starting with Commissioner Kavanaugh.
Thank you. Just real quick, Mike, a few of the metrics. Average daily population, 1,111, up 18. Just nominal, I guess.
Not life-changing, no.
Average length of stay, 25 days. About half, 48%, are 72 hours or less. Mm-hmm. The page 6 on revenues is interesting. It would be, I guess, easier if there was like a grand total at the bottom of those columns. And I have one question. We do this jail housing with the city and the U.S. Marshals, and then we do jail housing other and jail housing other agencies. Who or what are those?
Those may be other counties that oftentimes, it's not uncommon for circumstances to warrant moving somebody from one county to another county for their safety, based upon who else might be in the jail that in their county where they're from. So that's a give and take. That's an expenditure and a revenue, because we do that as well sometimes.
Okay. And we have significant revenue from $250,000 annually, it looks like, from house arrest program fees. How exactly does that work?
So we have, there's fees to go on house arrest. So when you go on house arrest, you have to be on a GPS monitor and usually an alcohol monitor as well. And so we are basically collecting the fees. We have to pay the vendor to provide the equipment and the
Okay, so
service.
the individual pays the county and the county pays the vendor.
Correct.
Do you have any idea what those run?
I can get that.
Okay,
that
that's
used to
fine.
be my wheelhouse when I was in community corrections.
What if
but I'll get
somebody's
that.
indigent and is unable to pay?
Then they won't have to pay.
Okay. The bond payments that you mentioned that are coming due, which bond issues are
Oh
those?
no, those are bonding people out of jail.
Oh, bonding, not bond payments.
Correct.
Okay. The majority minority population is 66. It seems like that might be up a tick, but it remains majority minority by a lot.
Correct.
And again, that's nothing you can control, but it's troubling for our community to have that consistent majority minority population behind bars. On page 44, custodial sanctioned beds, there's a spike in that going back to, you see what I'm talking about? It's
Yes, that is, so custodial sanctions are a result of legislation that happened about 10 years ago, where now, prior to revoking somebody's probation, they can be sent to jail for a period of time as a sanction for some violation. Probation in the early years of that utilized it quite a bit more. When COVID pandemic affected everybody's operations, probation thankfully relied on them much less, and they continue to maintain that low level of utilization. So it is, whereas we used to have like 500 bed days a month, we typically run around 100 bed days a month now.
Next time.
Thank you.
Yep, we'll go to Commissioner Fahey.
Thank you for the report. And I apologize if I missed this, but so were the 6 training injuries resulted during the TAP training?
That's correct. Yes.
Okay. Is that normal? Is that acceptable?
It is, given the nature of this training, and it's a new program for everybody, and they're having to go through 4 days of it. And these injuries were pretty, by and large, minor. Nobody missed any work, but anytime anybody fills out an injury packet, it gets included in our statistics. It's not unexpected. I mean, 4 days of this type of hand-to-hand, physical training involving takedowns and so forth, and we're putting, we have over 400 correctional staff, uniform correctional staff that are going through it. It is not unexpected to have some bumps and bruises that people have reported.
Fair. And some of this I'll plead ignorance that I don't understand the minimal threshold for filling out an injury report, but, well, speak to that first, if you could.
Sure. So, there are some staff that if they get, whether it's something that's on the job or in training, if they end up with a scrape or a bruise or, a sore shoulder after a use of force incident, they'll be, I'm fine, I don't need to fill out a packet. Others, there really isn't a stamp. We don't refuse anybody filling it out because if they wake up the next day and can't get out of bed, or their arm, or like swelling is developed, when they fill that out, then work comp will cover those expenses that they have for the treatment of those injuries. So it is a pretty low threshold to fill those out.
That's fair. I mean, I still, this many levels removed from it, seeing 6 injuries in a month is alarming to me.
Right.
Understanding I'm not there, so certainly I would expect that 6 injuries would warrant an examination of the training, but I also can defer that if the injuries didn't result in any missed work time, but going forward, it gives me some pause.
Yeah. And this is a training that not everybody's going to go through all the time like we're doing right now. We're getting everybody trained in the new model. So the volume of people going through the training is the highest it will ever be, right now through early January. And then there will be like a 2-day recertification that people will do kind of sporadically annually. That'll be spread out and over the course of the rest of their employment. And so we will see, just by the volume, more injuries now and less later on.
Okay, that's helpful to me. I appreciate it. I just, please understand that me sitting here seeing 6 injuries in a month sort of automatically creates a concern for county employee safety, but I'm comfortable with your responses. I have another matter I want to ask about, but I'll yield the 30 seconds and we'll come back to it after whoever's next.
Very good. Thank you. We'll go to Commissioner Morgan.
Thank you, Mike. I think you said about 18% were homeless, which would be roughly 200
Correct.
of the individuals being incarcerated would be homeless.
Yes.
If you look back 6 years, which is 6 months before the COVID, what do you think that number, because I know you were there and working hard at it.
That number has been remarkably stable. It has, even pre-COVID, post-COVID, I feel I look at that number every month and it is almost exactly the same every month. It is that 18 to maybe 21% range is what I always report. And ever since we started tracking that, it's pretty entrenched. It's kind of similar to the racial demographic. They just seem to be entrenched numbers that.
So that seems interesting to me, that number has remained pretty constant in that range. Whether you go back 6 years or not, you're running close to that 18 to 20% homeless in our correction facility. Okay, thank you for that. Appreciate it.
We'll go to Commissioner Kavanaugh.
Thank you. Following up on Commissioner Morgan's question right there, what would that be in numbers, not percentages?
Around 200.
So
give or
200 is the 20% of the population at 1,100, 200 and change. But is that consistent?
It is very
month to month,
consistent.
year to year?
Yes, it is.
That's amazing. Yeah, that's not good. A couple of things, and these are just more following up on some conversations we've had over time regarding format. If you go to pages like 7 and 8, this is something that I think that we've talked about, and it looks like maybe it got done in a fashion and then maybe wasn't carried through. So if you look at pages 7 and 8, what we were looking for is a look-back period on these. And on page 7,
I believe it is.
It's got a look back.
Yeah, it goes from June
But
24.
on page 8, starting with overtime and continuing through the balance of that,
you have to look at page 7 is the look back, and page 8, we haven't had data for October.
Okay.
The current
What I'm saying is,
current fiscal year is on page 8.
yeah,
So that's
yeah,
ongoing.
Okay. The look back period, and I don't know if this is just because the info doesn't come in that quickly, seems to go back from June to July. So that's a look back, a fiscal year look back. Is that what you're saying?
So page 7 is the fiscal year 25 data. So that goes from July of 24 to June of 25. So this is just taking a page out of a report I would have given you a year ago, or actually at the end of, not a year ago, in July.
Because if you go forward to page 31 and following, those are look backs September to September. And I'm just saying, I understand the fiscal year
Sure.
format. I'm more probably looking at, we're doing this September, what did we do last September? You see what I'm saying?
Yeah, our population graphs, basically some of them are set up to track the past year, and they're rolling. A month drops off and another one adds every month. Some of them have multiple years tracked with different.
So kind of what I would be looking for is, a 12-month period from now back, so I could say, okay, this September we were there. Last September we were there. It's the same. It's higher. It's lower. You know what I'm looking for patterns going back. I think there's pretty consistent variations in population. Oh, correct me if I'm wrong. Maybe in August and maybe sometime during the winter, where populations tend to go up or down in a particular way.
Yeah, we tend to peak around this time of year, and then have some. Though those changes are not as pronounced as they used to be.
And that's what I'm looking for. Any changes, or is the pattern still the same? And then, if there was a change, why is that?
I believe the reason those changes are not as pronounced is our pretrial release program has mitigated those spikes that we would see in some of those warm weather months.
And then on page 34, this is very good news. The bed days saved by pretrial GPS, in the thousands. And that times our per diem is in the millions. Mm-hmm. And so that's a huge savings. Good work.
Thank you.
Next time, we'll go to Commissioner Fahey.
Director Myers, thank you again. On the noteworthy items, just a couple questions on the staffing regarding reduced posts for central control, attorney clergy, and then courtroom. Specifically on the attorney clergy and the tablets, can you just fill me in a little bit on how that's working in terms of attorney visits with tablets?
So, two separate, and I'm sorry if I confuse these a little bit. So our attorney clergy, that's face-to-face, and we had an additional officer placed in attorney clergy when our records department was running short on staff, and they could not. Our records department is responsible for running the virtual court hearings, which are also operated in the attorney clergy area. So when our records department's a smaller department, fewer employees, when they were running short, we added an officer to help run virtual court. Now that records has staffed up, we pulled that second officer out of attorney clergy. So that is an area where the attorneys come and visit face to face. The tablets, there are a lot of visits that happen with attorneys over the tablets as well, but that is separate from the attorney clergy staffing. That basically these tablets have enabled us to reduce the staffing in our front lobby from 3 people being present to 2, because I would walk through that lobby, multiple times every day, and I would see no one, and we've seen the tablets, are the vendor that we switched to a couple of years ago. Remote visitation was a very inaccessible and expensive proposition a few years back. Now every single inmate has their own tablet, and the visitation is less than 10 cents a minute. It recently changed due to some federal regulations, but it's less than 10 cents a minute, which is much cheaper probably for individuals than getting in their car and driving down, trying to find a place to park downtown and using the video visitation that's on site. Even though the video visitation that's on site is free of charge, it's just not worth the effort when you're spending, $1.50 to do a 15-minute visit with your loved one versus taking the trouble to come all the way downtown.
Thank you. That's helpful. Appreciate it.
All right. Any other? Oh, Commissioner Borgerson.
Thanks, Mike. Can you, on page 2, we were supposed to have the go live date of October 14th for the pretrial, but now you're the next sentence says a more robust set of elements.
Yeah, I'm sorry, let me reread that. Yes, so that was meant to be read as if that, once this goes live, I will be able to give you more data. And it did just go live a couple of weeks ago, so in subsequent months, I will be able to provide, I don't know how much of it I'll incorporate into the monthly report, because I know I already cover a wide variety of information, but maybe a periodic in-depth report, maybe quarterly or twice a year, that we present to the board on this program, where we're able to start tracking the rates of failure to appears, people with different interventions, and how people at different risk levels are doing on pretrial release. Those are things that have been difficult because the system we initially utilized failed to deliver on some of its promises, and the new one is integrating with court, with justice and other court systems, so that we can get that data pushed back and forth.
Okay, well, and I would be interested in a pretty in-depth report, because we continually hear misinformation
Sure.
about our pretrial program.
Yep.
And having that data out there, I think, is important.
Yes.
For us and the success of the program as well.
Absolutely.
So, and then secondly, on page 2, when you talk about 51.3% of the inmates staying longer than the 72 hours, what would you say are the top 3 reasons why someone would stay longer than need be?
They're charged with a crime that they're not going to get out on time served in 2 days, and their bond is set to a level that they cannot pay. Our pretrial release program has mitigated that issue somewhat, but there are, certain people that they're charged with serious enough crimes that the jail is where they're supposed to be, and so mainly I would say it is a combination of indigency mixed with higher levels of charges that were, the very few people, almost everybody gets a bond. There are very few charges where the judge has the discretion to not set a bond. Over 99% of our people have a bond, but some of them are justifiably set quite high in order to maintain custody of those individuals pre-trial.
And that would be a data point that I think would be interesting, is how many of our individuals are sitting there because they can't pay their bond.
Yeah.
That if you can get that.
In theory, Commissioner, that's probably almost everyone that's in jail that's on a pretrial status, because if almost everybody gets a bond set, some of them they might have to come up with $50,000, $100,000 or more, because they might be charged with a gun crime or things like that. There are some, in the population data, there are pretrial misdemeanors. We averaged 136 of those a day. Those are in large part domestic violence, where there's mandatory minimum bonds set, so that the misdemeanor population would be the one to really look at, but you also have to understand that the domestic violence aspect of that requires a mandatory minimum bond.
Right, and I think, again, that data would be interesting to see and watch over time.
Yep.
But otherwise, that's all my questions, so thank you.
Thank you. Any other comments from board or public on the director's report? If not, Director Myers, thank you very much.
Thank you, Commissioners.
Luis Jimenez, 2709 Dewey Avenue. I think what is missing from the report is a project management chart for the construction that's happening in the corrections. If the director can provide it, that'd be great. Thank you.
Thank you. Anybody else? Otherwise, I'll take a motion to adjourn Board of Corrections.
Second.
Motion by Rogers, second by Morgan. Please vote.
Motion passes 6-0. Commissioner Friend is absent at the moment.
Thank you. We'll go into Douglas County Board of Commissioners. Roll call.
Commissioner Morgeson. Commissioner Kavanaugh. Commissioner Fahey. Commissioner Friend is absent. Commissioner Morgan.
Yes.
Commissioner Rogers. Mr. Chair.
Here. First order of business are items 1A and B. A being the approval of the minutes of the Board of Commissioners meeting held Tuesday, October 14th, 2025, and B being the approval of claims submitted for payment process through Tuesday, October 28th, 2025. Do I have a motion and a second?
Second.
Motion by Rogers, second by Morgan. Please vote.
Motion passes 6-0.
Thank you. Next, we have our consent agenda. Please note that items A and C have been tabled for later by request of the respective department. Therefore, we have remaining items B, D, E, and F, which I'll take a motion and second for discussion.
Second.
Motion approved by Rogers, second by Morgan. We'll jump into discussion, starting with Commissioner Kavanaugh. A and C are tabled. Everything else is still here. Okay.
Health Department issue, and I don't know if somebody's here that could speak to it, but in item E, number 7, is the second amendment with Nebraska Department of Health and Human Services regarding updating award amount for Women, Infant, and Children Grant through September 30th, 2025. And it's got an amount of $3,876,176.85 budgeted for basically food, breastfeeding support, and other things for moms and kids up to the age of 5. In the backup documents, it shows that this appears to reflect a reduction from $4.6 million to $3.8 million in this grant amount. And I'm just curious why there is a reduction, what appears to be a reduction in this grant.
Yep. Is there anybody from the Health Department on Zoom? Otherwise, Commissioner Rogers, I don't expect you to know that micro detail, but if you have any.
No, and I was out of town at the last meeting. My understanding of talking to them.
Commissioner Rogers, sorry. Can we get his mic on? Thank you.
Wait, no, okay. No, I don't know the detail of it, but I do know there was some planned reduction, but not being at the meeting, I'd have to ask the director for the specifics on that.
Because I know there's been some federal reductions in like the SNAP program and other food programs for people in need of support. And I'm just wondering if this is part and parcel of that. Also, I think the state has done some reducing on their own, State Department of HHS and these kinds of support programs. And, you know, it would be good to know if that's what is happening here. I think people should know that.
I can say it's federal reduction. I don't know specific time because the grant is literally a pass-through through the state. And so I do know it's that. I don't know the details on it, but I do know it has implications of that.
Yeah, I don't want to lay this over or anything, but if you could find out, maybe, I think the public should know that we're cutting back on moms and kids'
I'll have
food
it
and
for you.
breastfeeding support.
I'll have it for you next week.
Thank you.
Thank you. Other comments or questions on consent agenda from board or public? If not, we'll vote.
Motion passes 6-0.
Thank you. That takes us to Section 5, recognitions, proclamations. We have one, item A, recognition of a county employee retirement for Marlo Ibarra, who worked for the Douglas County Health Center for 24 years. I don't think Marlo's here today, but we want to thank Marlo for the dedicated service to our Douglas County constituents and citizens for 24 years at the Health Center. With that, I'll take a motion to approve. Motion by Morgan, second by Rogers. We'll vote.
Motion passes 6-0.
Thank you. That takes us to section 7, public hearing, of which we have one item, item A, which is to waive the 3 readings requirement and then consider and approve a proposed golf cart ordinance to allow golf cars to be driven within SID 578 Westboro Creek in Douglas County. At this point, I will open the public hearing for this item. It was, I believe, laid over from a past meeting, so if there's any comments from public or board on this item, now would be the time. If not, I will close the public hearing. And Teresa, remind me, do we need the 2 motion process?
Yes, you'll need, Tracy York County Attorney's Office, you'll need 2 votes, 2 motions, 2 votes. And the first will be whether to waive the 3 readings, and you'll need 6 commissioners to agree with that. And then if you get that 6th vote, then you can move on to adopting the ordinance.
All right. So first motion is to waive the 3rd reading or the 3 readings in general.
So moved.
Motion by Borgeson, second by Morgan. We'll vote on that.
Okay, and these have to be voice votes. So Commissioner Borgeson. Commissioner Kavanaugh. Commissioner Fahey. Commissioner Morgan.
Yes.
Commissioner Rogers. Mr. Chair.
Yes.
Motion passes 6-0.
And the next motion would be to approve the actual resolution itself or the ordinance itself.
Second.
Motion by Borgeson, second by Morgan, and by statute, I have to read the title, which again was a proposed golf cart ordinance to allow golf carts to be driven within SID 578 in Westboro Creek in Douglas County. With that, we'll vote on it.
Commissioner Borgeson. Commissioner Kavanaugh. Commissioner Fahey. Commissioner Morgan. Commissioner Rogers. Mr. Chair.
Yes.
Motion passes 6-0.
Thank you. That takes us into committees. Under Section 8, we have Finance with budget report as presented, as well as the monthly fee report also as presented. Under Human Resources, we have the weekly personnel report from Civil Service as presented, and one resolution regarding our flexible savings accounts. Was there any comment on that before we take it up? Or I'll take a motion a second first and then ask for comment.
Second.
Motion by Rogers, second by Morgan. Any comments on the item? If not, we can vote. Oh, yeah, I think we got that. Yep. Motion to approve was by Rogers and second was by Morgan. So we'll go ahead and vote.
Motion passes 6-0.
Thank you. Today we do not have a need for executive session, so I'll take a motion to adjourn the meeting. Motion by Rogers, second by Fahey. Please vote.
Motion passes 6-0. We are adjourned at 9:54 a.m.
Thank you.